Hello everyone, back tuning into the first Christmas update for 2017 from GavsOfBiz.com. So, we're going to be doing the Christmas updates on fairly regular intervals between now and just before Christmas. I've got 25 of these penciled in, so there can be lots and lots of twists and turns as we get closer and closer to Christmas. We're going to start off for the first few weeks using the long-range CFS V2 model at website metroseal.fr. When we get to about a couple of weeks or so before Christmas, then we will move from the CFS model to the sort of short to medium range GFS model, and we'll close in then on the exact detail of the Christmas period. But at the moment, we're just using the long-range model, see if we can try to pick out some trains and see if we can pick out the thrust of where the long-range model wants to be around the Christmas period. Of course, it's very difficult to pinpoint one day's weather so far in advance. You can't do it. So what we're just looking to do is to try and pinpoint the overall trend of the long-range model around the Christmas period. And as we go along, we should start to pick up at least the broad sort of direction that the model wants to go in as we do more and more updates and we go along. Last year's Christmas updates were quite interesting because we got many, especially during the early and middle part of the updates, many updates that were cold and suggesting the chance of snow around the Christmas period. Now, we know what actually happened last Christmas is that we finished up with quite a mild Christmas, but it was a very, very close run thing. Cast your mind back to last Christmas, you'll remember that central, eastern and southeastern parts of Europe had some very, very cold weather around and just after Christmas and into the new year. So the model wasn't all that far away really from its predictions. The long-range model wasn't all that far away from its predictions of cold weather for Christmas. The whole thing was just shunted a few hundred miles to the east, and that's the kind of thing you have to keep in mind when you look at these charts. So where we are, our position in the world is that we're between the cold sort of continental landmass and the warm ocean, and it only takes very slight adjustments. I mean, sort of 300-400 miles in terms of the Earth isn't anything at all, but it only takes very slight adjustments to take us either out of the cold weather or pull us into the cold weather. So always keep that at the back of your mind. But really, these updates are just a bit of fun and to build us up towards the Christmas period. But as I say, as we go along, we probably will find trends starting to develop. So I'll get on with the Christmas forecast for you in a moment. Just to say that earlier today we released a 5-day forecast. You can find the video to that on the homepage. There's also the written version. You get that from buttons at the top of the page. We had a look at next week to 10 days. So a very confused picture for next week. That video is on the homepage as well. And also Terry Scully has released his November month-end forecast. That's quite interesting. There is some cold weather being predicted there by Terry Scully. So have a look at that on his page. Again, you get to that from the buttons at the top of the page. Go to written forecasts, and then you'll find the link to Terry's page from there. And also, Gav Shop is open, so you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, and all you have to do is click the green button. It's just underneath this video. Click the green button that says Christmas Shop. It'll take you to our Christmas Shop page, and then from there, the key to it all is to click through the Amazon banners. It'll take you directly through to Amazon where you do your Christmas shopping store. You don't have to do anything differently at all. Just purely the fact that you've gone from GavsOfBiz to Amazon means that we get a revenue fee on the items you're buying for Christmas. And a big thank you to everybody for doing that. We'll be plugging this daily from now to Christmas, so you've got plenty of time to get your Christmas presents and Christmas shopping done at Amazon through GavsOfBiz. So a big thank you to everybody for doing that. Just talk a little bit about model before and I will get on with it in a second. So we're using the CFS V2 9-monthly forecast from the website metroseal.fr. You can find the link to Metroseal on the links page. This was generated yesterday, 31st of October 2017. There's always 24-hour delay on these charts coming through. We will, as long as we can, as long as it updates, occasionally there'll be a problem and it won't update. But as long as we can, we'll be using the midday run throughout all of these updates, all 25 or sort of 20, and then the final 5 will be with Wet Essential with GFS model. But while we're using the CFS V2, we'll be using the midday run of the CFS V2 9-monthly forecast whenever we can, so we're not sort of told off for cherry picking a certain outcome. This is just the way the charts are appearing as we're doing the update. And with all of that said, let's get on with the first Christmas update. So we're beginning on the 8th of December, when the CFS V2 model is predicting high pressure to be dominant across virtually the whole of Europe. Actually, it centres over across the east of Europe, but it is extending a ridge out to the west of Europe. That would be very quiet. I would have thought quite cold, probably frosty and foggy with that. And fog could be the real issue, especially for central parts of Europe, actually. Let's run through and see what happens. So by the 10th, the high pressure is trying to get up towards Scandinavia, trying to bring the winds in from an east-southeasterly direction. In fact, it is bringing winds in from a southeasterly direction. Again, that could be quite cold, probably a fair amount of frost, and I would have thought some quite dense fog would be likely as well. By the 12th into the 13th of December, we find that the high pressure is still in control, but its position is changing a little bit more towards Germany and France. For England and Wales, still probably very foggy, very frosty conditions. Up to the north, it's a little bit milder, the far north of Scotland, with some cloud and outbreaks of rain. That high pressure still there through to the middle part of December, although an increasing influence from the Atlantic starting to drag milder air around the top of the high in from off the Atlantic Ocean, but probably still frosty and foggy even at that point across southern parts. So a real dry but cold, frosty, foggy scenario through the early part of December and up to middle part of December. Let's carry on through closer to Christmas then, and the high pressure continues to be in control, pulling out to the west of us by the 17th and 18th of December, and that starts to allow some cold air to come down the top. Notice a very cold trough plunging through much of Europe. That could bring snow showers or more persistent snow to many parts of Europe. For us, we're just on the periphery of that northerly, so we probably have a few wintry showers running down the east coast. There will probably still be quite significant night frost, especially in the west, but it would be largely dry with a lot of settled weather coming through then. Right, we'll start running up towards Christmas, and that high pressure continues to be dominant up to the 20th to the 21st of December. Very gradually, though, it is being pushed down to the south as these westerly winds, look, here comes the westerlies, starting to move in around the top. So up to 21st of December, probably still quite cold and frosty for the south, but for the north, that's turning milder and also starting to bring in some wind and some rain to Scotland and Northern Ireland. Notice very cold air plunging down into the southeast of Europe with those easterly winds down there. Let's carry on, and we go up to run up towards Christmas, and increasingly we're finding this high pressure being broken down as we go from the 22nd to 23rd. The high pressure is slipping back to Spain and Portugal as these westerly winds become stronger and more dominant as well. So we're running up to Christmas on a wet and windy note here on the 23rd. This takes us to Christmas Eve, when we're in a cooler and more showery northwesterly wind, but it is all Atlantic based now. The high pressure has been broken down, it's been sent back to Spain and Portugal, and now it is quite a lot milder. So we go to Christmas Day, and that's how this first Christmas update is seeing things on Christmas Day. High pressure just to the southwest of England, dragging up this very mild southwesterly wind. So this is a mild Christmas Day being predicted for the first update. Mostly dry for England and Wales, probably wet weather for Scotland and Northern Ireland. You could be seeing temperatures up to 12 or 13 degrees with that, I would have thought. It's very mild air mass that's being dragged up from sort of the Azores. So very mild Christmas Day for this first Christmas update. Beyond that to Boxing Day, so it turns wet and windy, probably gale force winds of Scotland and Northern Ireland, England and Wales, still dry and very mild at that point. And then as we run into the Christmas to New Year period, well, it looks like we're setting up a very mild pattern here for the second half of December. So high pressure is across many parts of Spain, Portugal and France. Low pressure, deep low pressures around Iceland, and we're bringing in these westerly winds which are bringing wet, windy conditions at times, but the air is coming from the Atlantic, so it is very mild as well. This is how New Year is looking. So again, it looks quite wet and windy here. This is New Year's Day, and we find that we're bringing a slightly cooler air mass down then, a little bit showery in nature, probably cold enough wintry showers in the north, but again it's all very Atlantic based. It's looking very zonal, very west to east, strong jet stream, showers or longer spells of rain from this Christmas to New Year period. And then as we go out beyond that, we turn things stormy. That looks very stormy there on the 2nd of January, just into the start of 2018. A real Atlantic storm is sweeping in across the country, bringing severe gale force winds and lots of heavy rain too. And these unsettled conditions then continue through the early part of January. A little bit of a colder snap there on 12th night, the 6th of January, as winds swinging to the north. But that doesn't last long. Very quickly we're going back into those westerly winds. And it all just looks very, from around the 21st of December onwards, it all just looks very, very Atlantic driven, low pressure, wet, windy at times, but also very mild at times, especially over Christmas, when Christmas Down, this first update, is being signalled to be very, very mild indeed. Right, so that's the first update done and dusty. Don't worry if you want a cold Christmas. There'll be plenty of chopping and changing and twists and turns, I can promise you that, between now and Christmas. So that's the first one sort of in the can. And we'll see what the second update has to say, which we'll do on Saturday evening. Update 2 will be same time, same place on Saturday evening. So come back for that then. Will we see a continuation of these westerly winds for Christmas, or will we revert to something different? Maybe, dare I say it, something colder. You'll find out on Saturday. Right, that's all for now. We're off and running with a Christmas update. Thanks for watching.